how's it going, everybody? Tyrone Smith, the youth minister here at the Church Without Walls. I'm super excited today as we kick off week 3 of the Iceberg series. It's this series that's really going to actually challenge you all in regards to your life and your purpose and your position in life, understanding and knowing that God has designed each and every one of you all to be great. Yes, each of you all are designed to be great. We're going to recap the story of David as a boy that became this king in his story in his life before the throne and after the throne. But remember to like, subscribe, and share, and let everybody know what we're doing here at the Church Without Walls. Hey, but don't move. Keep it locked. Let's hear from the Ignite Worship team. Let's get it going.
The day that the Lord has made, we shall rejoice. Everybody know He's an awesome God? Yes. Hallelujah.
Come on, wherever you are, just put your hands on it like this. Yeah. Say, our God, say.
Our God is an awesome mighty race from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Our God.
Our God is an awesome mighty race from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome
You're marvelous and you're
marvelous and you're glorious. You love us being victorious. You took away the fear in us. Now we praise you because you can deliver us. There ain't no stopping us. No. There ain't no blocking us.
Come on.
No, they clap your hands with us.
like this. Come on, come on. Our God.
Our God is an awesome mighty race from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Our God, our God.
God is an awesome mighty race.
Yes, sir.
We're
We're going to go one more time. Marvelous and
you're glorious. You love us be victorious. You took away the fear in us. Now we praise you because you can deliver us.
there ain't no.
There ain't no stopping us.
No.
Heaven, there ain't no blocking us.
No.
Nobody
Clap
clap
your
your hands with us.
Like this, y'all. Our God is
Our God is an awesome mighty race from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome mighty race from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God
one more time. Our God is
Our God is an awesome mighty race from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Our God.
Our God is an awesome mighty race from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Say, He reigns,
He reigns.
He reigns,
He
yeah.
reigns.
He reigns
He reigns.
forever.
He reigns.
Say, He reigns,
He reigns.
He reigns,
He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns.
Hey, He reigns,
He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns.
Yes, He
He
reigns.
reigns.
Yeah,
He
He
reigns.
reigns.
He reigns.
Oh, He
He
reigns.
reigns.
Oh, He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns. One more time. He reigns. He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns.
Reigns.
Forever and
He
ever.
reigns.
He reigns.
We know you
He
reign.
reigns.
We say you reign.
He reigns.
He reigns.
Forever and ever.
He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns.
God, we know you reign.
He reigns.
Reign.
Forever and ever.
He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns.
He reigns.
Say, our God.
Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven
Let me hear you.
above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Our God, our God, yeah.
is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Come on, clap your hands wherever you are.
How's it going, everybody? I'm super excited, man, just to get this thing going again with you all today as we reflect over this particular series titled Icebergs. In this series, we've actually looked over the past couple of weeks at the story of David, the boy that would become king. And the thing I want you all to realize as we reflect over this series, I want y'all to remember a fundamental thing that we actually talked about in week 1. Everybody know what an iceberg is, but when you think about an iceberg, you only actually see 10% of the iceberg. 90% of the iceberg is really actually underwater or underneath that you typically don't see. And as we reflect over the story and the life of David, the boy who will become king, before he was appointed king, his appearance wouldn't be that of which you would say, like, he is the guy that's actually going to lead a nation. He is the guy that's going to defeat giants. He is the guy that's going to be like just all in. He is a guy that's really going to be unstoppable because of his mind, his insight, and his preparation. But when you look at him, as we have actually unpacked and unfolded the story, he is not the ideal person. But what do we know? Man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. And we learned that in week 1 that, he wasn't the person that you would believe to be king when you look at him, when you look at him in regards to the eye test. But yet, he was the person, he was the one that actually will become king. He was the one that actually defeated this giant, Goliath, that nobody wanted to take on. He is the one that got all the love and all the support from all the people because he defeated like tens of thousands, and Saul only defeated like thousands. So the people champion his name because of who he is and what he's done. But initially, people wouldn't actually see him as being this warrior. People would not actually think or believe that he was prepared for everything that he would endure. But the most critical thing you all must realize and understand that God was with him throughout the journey. But at the end of the day, it was all about his preparation in regards to understanding and knowing that God was with him. But at the same time, he had a heart that was for God. But when he became king, he made a great mistake. And when you think about King David, most of the time, there are 2 particular moments or instances that you think about. You either, if somebody tell you about the story of King David, 1 or 2 things are going to come to your mind about him. I'm sure everybody on the other side of the camera, even the media team, may be thinking the same thing. I mean, because they're all biblical scholars in their own right away. But there are at least 2 stories that actually come to mind when you think about David, the boy who will become king. You think about how he defeated Goliath, this unstoppable, immovable juggernaut of a giant, or you think about the great mistake that he made with Bathsheba. It's like, when you think about King David, one of those 2 things come to your mind. Like, just think about that for a moment, right? But what I want you all to realize and understand that in life, man, we all actually make mistakes, but the thing I want y'all to understand as well is all about the position. Think about your position. Always be in tune with your focus. But knowing that life actually have consequences based on the decisions that we make as individuals, because I've actually said it before, one thing in life that God has given us is free will, and free will is the ability to make our own choice and decisions. And there are some choice and decisions that we make that will have some dire consequences. Think about that for a moment. Because we've all made mistakes. I've even made mistakes as well. Yes, I have. I remember one time, I got to be honest with you. I wanted something from the store, right? My favorite chips were Cheetos. I mean, I love some Cheetos. I love Little David oatmeal cream pies. And I love, like, some grape soda. Like, I had this serious infatuation. Like, I had this serious, like love for Little David oatmeal cream pies, Aaron, like, for real, and grape soda, and Cheetos. Like, those are my snacks right there. Little David oatmeal cream pies, grape soda, and some Cheetos. And I remember one day, I would get a weekly allowance every Friday. When my dad got paid, he would give my brothers and I an allowance. All right, cool, right? And so this was like maybe not necessarily a week, maybe like about 5 to 6 days after I'd already received my allowance, like the week before. And my friends and I were actually about to go to the store, and I didn't have any more money. Like, I'd already spent my allowance. You know what I'm saying? I already, like, blew my allowance. My friends were about to go to the store, and I wanted to go to the store, and I had this craving. I had, like, this serious craving. You know, like that, I don't know what your go-to snacks are, but I had, like, a craving for, like, some Little David oatmeal cream pies, like some some grape crushed soda, and I had a taste for some Cheetos, like not the fake Cheetos. I need the actual Frito-Lay. I need some Cheetos, like straight up real Cheetos. And I had like a craving for the Little David oatmeal cream pies, the grape soda, and the Cheetos, but I had no money. Stick with me. And I went to the house. I was going to ask my mom for some money if she can kind of, shoot me like a couple of dollars, before the big allowance. I'm going to be getting them the next day or so. And so I went into the house, and my mom was like, sleep. And my mom was asleep, and I was like, man, and I don't know about you guys, but when my mom was taking a nap, you don't wake mom up when she's taking a nap. Because my mom had like 2, sometimes 3 jobs. It's like when my mom taking a nap, you do not wake her up. It was just like, man, it's like, but I had this serious craving. I like wanted my snacks. And she's taking a nap, and and then I saw her purse, and I saw her wallet inside her purse, and I saw like a $5 bill like sticking out of her wallet. And so I was just like, man, like mom is asleep. I don't want to wake her up, but I know she may give me the money, but I'm not sure if she's going to give me the money if I ask for the money, but I don't want to wake her up. And I saw her purse, and I was just like, man, and the struggle started. I was tempted. Have you ever been there before where you wanted something like so bad, and you want it, but yet at the same time you're like tempted, and it's not the right thing to do, but yet you're tempted? If you can feel me, like raise your hand. I'm like, raise your hand. Mom is asleep. Mom is taking a nap. Purse is right there. I'm like, okay, cool. I get my allowance tomorrow. Like, I'm trying to contemplate what should I do. I'm like, man, I can actually maybe like go and get that 5. And I get my allowance, put the 5 back in her purse before she even realized the $5 gone. But I'm up here contemplating like what I should actually do. But at the end of the day, I'm like just so wrong in my thinking. I said, man, she's asleep, man. She's tired. I don't want to wake her up, but let me go get the 5. So I went and got the $5. Went to the store, got my Little oatmeal cream pies, got my grape soda, got my Cheetos. I'm good. And so I'm headed back to the house. I get to the house. My mom, she's up. Uh-oh. And my mom had this look, there was this look about my mother, like Jetty Catherine Smith, that she would give you when you did something out of line or that was wrong or that was sinful, so to speak, based on what we're talking about today. And so my mom asked me, she was like, Tyrone, have you been in my purse? I was like, what do you mean been in your purse? Like, did you get some money out of my purse? I was like, I saw your purse. She was like, no, question was, did you go into my purse? Have you been in my purse? Did you go into my purse? Tyrone Anthony. I'm like, ooh, she said my middle name, so it's really serious at this moment. But I already knew in my mind and in my heart that I did something wrong, but yet I wasn't open or at a place and space that I would actually admit to what I had actually done. And so here it is. I'm just trying to navigate. You sure did you ask my brothers? Did you ask Harold Jr.? Did you ask Deshaun the same question you asking me, Mom? Because I know I saw them here perusing and walking around you when you was taking a nap. I'm trying to deflect. I'm trying to digress away from what she's trying to ask me. The truth of the matter is that I was wrong. I made a bad decision. And I knew based on my mom and I knew based on my dad and how they handle things, there would be consequences for my actions. So I had to eventually come clean and actually admit that I actually had took the money, because she actually went to her purse, and when she woke up, she's going to send me to go to the store to pick up some things for her, and then even ask me if I wanted something for myself as well. But the thing about it is that I was wrong. I made a mistake. I was sinful. I was out of line. I wasn't right. I was wrong. Have you ever been there before? What we're going to do today, we're going to take a look at King David. And we're going to take a look at his life after he became the king. And one thing you got to realize in life is that, you know, it's all about like what's in your heart. If you have pure motives and if you have pure intentions in regards to everything that you do, you're not going to put yourself in situations that are going to be against what it is that God may actually have for you. Think about that for a moment. If you think about and live in such a way where Christianity is a lifestyle in regards to your decision making, there will be so much more that you can do in regards to your decision making where you're not stuck, stupid, or trying to figure things out based on your actions. Because at the end of the day, it's really all about you in regards to who you are based on who God is calling and created you to be. But based on who you are and based on who God is calling and created you to be, it's all about like what's in your heart, what's below the surface. And this series actually paints the picture in regards to help us understand deeper what it means to be all that God would actually have before us as individuals when you think about your heart. Because the thing about it is we're going to make mistakes. And then when you make a mistake, like I was trying to cover up my mistake. I was trying to cover up my sin. And I'm sure a lot of y'all can actually relate to that. So I want you to understand this. When we lie to cover up a mistake, we truly only make things so much worse. Right? We only make things so much worse. And we're going to see that's basically what happened with King David. Right? And I'm going to read to you the scripture before I actually get into the analyze this particular chapter here in the book so we can have an understanding, all right? So here it is. 2 Samuel 11, verses 2 through 3, all right? No, we're going to go 2 Samuel 5, 1 through 2. We're going to go there first, all right? Then all of the tribes of Israel came to David at Hebron and said, "Behold, we are your bone and flesh. In times past, when Saul was king over us, it was you who led us out and brought in Israel. And the Lord said to you, you shall be shepherd of my people Israel, and you shall be prince over Israel." He's the king. So all the elders of Israel came to the king at Hebron, and King David made a covenant with them at Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel. He is the king. Here it is. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for 40 years. At Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months. At Jerusalem, he reigned over all Israel and Judah 33 years. All right, here it is right now. In 2 Samuel 11, 2 through 3, this is after he's appointed king. This is after he's declared to be the man to pretty much like lead these nations. Because why? God was with him. But this is when the story shifted. 2 Samuel 11, 2 through 3. It happened late one afternoon when David arose from his couch and was walking on the roof of the king's house, that he saw from the roof a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful. And David sent and inquired about the woman. And one said, "It's not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" So David sent messengers and took her. And she came to him, and they laid together, right? Then she returned to her house, and the woman conceived, and she sent and told David, "I am pregnant." All right, here it is right here. Let me just kind of paint the picture a little bit. So here it is. David is a king, and they're at war. And typically when kings are at war, they are a part of the war. But yet David, he didn't go with his troops to be in war. He would always, most of the time, pretty much all the time, be right there with his men, with his troops to actually go to battle. But for some odd reason, he was just like, you know what, man, I'm going to just kind of chill. I'm going to kind of chillax. I'm going to chill and relax for a moment. I guess because he had conquered so many people, he felt, he didn't have to go this particular time. But it's not the typical thing that most kings would actually do. And while he's at the house, while he's chilling, he sees this beautiful woman. He's just like, man, I see her. Man, she's beautiful. So he sent his boys like, man, go get a number, go get a Twitter handle, get an IG handle. Man, I need to connect with her. I need to just, see what she about. I see that she's beautiful, but I want to know a little bit more about her. But yet, I want y'all to understand and realize we're always going to be faced with situations in life that may not be the best decisions for us. But at the end of the day, it boils down to what's in your heart. You can be faced with a trial. You can be faced with a situation. You can be faced with temptation. But at the end of the day, it really boils down to what is in your heart. And like I shared with you earlier, I'm not coming before you as a perfect individual who didn't do anything in life. There are things that I have actually done that I actually just admitted to you that don't make me any better than you, but I was wrong in my actions. And so basically what we're going to do, we're going to analyze this particular chapter in 2 Samuel and see how King David was actually wrong in his actions. And we're going to give you some points of focus that you can actually utilize in regards to making sure that you stay clear and that you have a pure heart and pure mind and all motives based on what you desire to do in life. Because at the end of the day, it's really about understanding and knowing that you're given free will to make the best decisions, but when you're in that moment, will you be true to what it is that God will have for you based on what's in your heart? Because be sure of this, in regards to every decision that we make, there are going to be some serious consequences. And when we make mistakes, a lot of the times, and when we make mistakes and when we lie, some of the things we have to deal with is actually covering up those lies that we actually make. Think about that for a moment. Has there ever been a moment of time when you actually did something and you had to lie about it? And when you lied about it, you had to cover it up. And when you were trying to cover it up, the situation has got so much worse. Can you relate to that? Have you ever tried to cover a mistake with another mistake? Have you ever heard that two wrongs don't make a right? Think about that right there for a moment. Two wrongs don't make a right. But at the end of the day, what we need to realize and understand is that the crazy things are going to happen when you continue to live your life in such a way that you're trying to cover it up. When we lie to cover a mistake, we truly only make things so much worse. That's basically what happened to King David. The story of David and Bathsheba is warning us of all of this. Even those of us who consider ourselves spiritually mature ought to be guarded when you think about temptation. Big point number one right here. David did not position himself for success. King David did not position himself for success. All right? One thing that I've learned about healthy decisions in life is this right here. When you think about positioning yourself in healthy decisions, there are certain things there are certain places I'm not going to go as far as positioning myself as far as healthy decisions if I have a battle or a struggle with something. Think about that for a moment. If you're an individual that have issues with drinking, or you know somebody that have issues with drinking, would it be a smart thing to go to a party where people are going to be drinking? Think about that for a moment. Positioning yourself. There was once a student that I knew that he had some issues. And he really didn't want to go to this particular party because he knew at this particular party there were certain things that were going to be happening at the party. And he told me that he really wanted to go to this party because all of his friends were going, and he knew certain things would be happening there. And I knew that there were certain struggles and battles that he actually had in his life. And I was like, you know what? It may not be the best thing for you to go, but the thing about it is, he was so focused and consumed on what his friends would think about him if he didn't go. Have you ever been in that situation before where you know something may not be good for you in regards to position or space or place that you may have a desire to go, but yet outwardly you're so worried about what your friends think about you? You're not worrying about the depth in regards to your heart and your life and your purpose. You're so focused on the outward, what will other people think? Have you been there before? And so when you think about this particular point right here, when we talk about the position, David did not position himself in regards to being successful. And that's one of the things that we have to continue to realize and understand and know as individuals. If you want to succeed in life, there are certain places and spaces and things that you do not need to do to be the best that you can actually be. But at the end of the day, really, it's about you being open, honest, and authentic with yourself based on what's best for you in your life. And so when you reflect and look over King David, it was all about really not having boundaries. What do healthy boundaries look like for you? Can you have discipline enough to hide God's word in your heart, right? And have enough discipline to keep bad stuff out. It's always easier said than done, but the thing I want y'all to realize today, can you have enough hope and trust and know that God is with you in everything you deal with and go through, and not put yourself in a place or a space or position to get caught up? Think about that for a moment. David did not position himself for success. And what I mean by that is he should have been positioning himself for success is really understanding and knowing that God actually appointed him to be the king, and the king typically always go to war with their soldiers. Positioning himself for success is doing all of what he had already been doing before he became king, up until he was king, by positioning himself with his soldiers and going to war. But no, he want to sit back, and he's sitting back, and he's getting caught up. And so when you think about your life, are you positioning yourself to be successful? And if you're not, what is it that you need to do to position yourself to be successful? Because you have an opportunity to actually change your narrative. And as we see here with King David, although he was anointed and appointed king, he still had things he had to battle, struggle, and deal with on a daily basis. What about you? Point number 2. King David chose selfishness over wisdom. Think about that for a moment. King David chose selfishness over wisdom. At the end of the day, King David made a terrible choice. As much as you want to position yourself for success, there will be times when you will be faced with a tough decision, whether you position yourself for success or not. In those moments, you have to make choices that are rooted in wisdom and not selfishness. Think about that for a moment. One of the ways we grow in wisdom is to spend time with wise people. Think about that. Who do you hang out with? Who are the people that you actually hang out with that can actually help you in regards to how you go about living life? King David chose selfishness over wisdom. But what about the people that you actually hang with? The top 5 people that you hang with, your character traits are going to be like them. The top 5 people you hang with. And all those top 5 people, or the top 5 people that you're hanging out with in your life, are they giving you support in regards to making you a better version of yourself? Or are those top 5 people that you hang with, they're actually keeping you from being the best that you can be as an individual? I believe that for most people, the top 5 people you hang around, you tend to do a lot of what they do. But the question is, do they do healthy things? The question is, do they make you better? And the question is, do you make them better? And when you think about where we are right now in the story about David choosing selfishness over wisdom, we're able to take an analytical look over the fact that he's spiritually mature. God chose him, but yet he failed, yet he made a mistake, yet he was wrong. And so what does that mean? We all can fall. But the thing about it is, will you be in tune to make wise decisions? I said earlier, one thing I thank God for is free will, and free will is the ability to make our own choices and decisions as individuals. And the biggest thing is this: what will you choose to do? So who do you hang out with? Here it is. So who do you hang out with? What are the qualities and characteristics of those 5 people that you hang out with? Is it possible that you're hanging out with people who are influencing you in negative ways? And if they are, what will you do? We ought to be people and individuals that actually choose our friends wisely. Because when you think about it, King David was friends with Uriah, who was the husband of Bathsheba. And so what did he do? He put this man on the front line so he can try to cover up his mistake and bury his mistake. And this was somebody that he knew, this is one of his top guys, but yet he's trying to cover up the lie, because why? He's in so deep. He's not making wise decisions. He's being selfish. So when you think about your life, have you ever been in so deep that you didn't know what to do? Have you been in so deep that you've been so caught up in your selfish way of thinking, that you've been so disconnected from what it is that God will have from you, that you can't open up your heart and your mind to connect with somebody that will hold you accountable, to redirect your mind, your thoughts, and your perspective based on the mistake that you've made? I've been there. But the only way you can move from that selfish space and place is to be honest with yourself, to be authentic with yourself, to be understanding and knowing that God can actually restore you based on the mistakes and sin that you've actually lived in. You don't have to stay there. But you will stay there if you remain selfish. The big thing is this. Can you get beyond your own selfishness? Can you get beyond your pride? Can you get beyond your faults and your failures? Can you get beyond the great mistakes that have hindered and hurt you in your life? And that's what we're seeing right here with King David, is that he was so focused on what it is that he wanted that he disregarded everything that God had before him in his life. He's leading a nation, but yet his selfishness and his pride is keeping him from being the best that he can be, making unwise, unhealthy decisions. A fool can be defined as someone who knows how to make good decisions and make poor decisions all the time. Think about that for a moment. You can be smart, but do you make smart decisions? You can be wise, but do you use your wisdom? Think about that for a moment. Big point number 3 right here. David's foolishness had heavy consequences. I don't think it can be overstated that our actions have consequences. We talked about that earlier. We all know it, but sometimes we rush into decisions without considering the cost. It's been said that sin will take you farther than you want to go, keep you longer than you want to stay, and cost you more than you want to pay. So many times sin consequences actually end up doing more damage than you ever thought. Have you ever thought about that? You've been so stuck in your stuff that you didn't know what to do. You didn't know which way to go because you've been so consumed with what it is that you wanted that you didn't think about the consequences because you were so stuck on self. Have you ever felt like that before? And think about that particular situation where you're so stuck in your stuff and you can't elevate out of your stuff because you've told a lie on top of a lie to cover up a lie, trying to remember the lie based on the consequences you're actually thinking about, and yet you're like going through like this vicious cycle. And so when you think about icebergs, and when you think about all people see is 10%, and when you think about all the hurt, all the betrayal, all the lies, all the stuff that you've done that's below the surface that people don't know about, and they don't know what's in your life and your heart, they don't know about these generational things that's been going on in your family that's actually affected your perspective and how you go about life, how you do life, what you say, what you think. And also you got all this stuff going on, and it just keeps perpetuating, it keeps going until you get to a point where you have to just free yourself. To understand and know that if you continue to stay in your sin, the consequences will continue to be grave. The consequences will continue to be helpless. The consequences will continue to be hopeless until you make a decision to have a renewed heart, a renewed mind, and a renewed perspective. Think about that for a moment. I remember when I was in college. And if you're in college, you maybe can relate to this. If you're not in college, I'm this store will actually help you. I remember when I was in college, I remember my mom and my dad, primarily my mom, she was like, do not get credit cards, because if you get credit cards, you're just setting yourself up for failure. She's like, when you go to college, they're gonna target you and try to get you to get these credit cards. Do not get credit cards, son. I remember I went to college. They had these tables. You get a free T-shirt. Like, if you apply for this credit card, you get a free T-shirt. And so I'm like, I want the free T-shirt. Got the credit card, spent the credit card, had a high interest rate, and then once I had my first credit card, I started getting all these notices in the mail for these credit card applications. I'm like, man, I can get these credit cards, I can get me some new shoes, maybe like once a month, I can get some jeans, I can spend it on fast food. And so, but at the same time, these credit cards had these high interest payments and everything that I was like disregarding. I'm like, man, let me just pay like $2.50 a month or something. I'm paying the bare minimum. But the thing about it is, my mom told me, she's like, Tyrone, if you get a credit card, you're going to continue to get credit cards because they're not good. There's nothing wrong with having a credit card, but they're not good for you if you don't know how to be responsible. She's like, son, I learned I was irresponsible at first when I had credit cards. I just want you to don't get credit cards. Just wait till you get out of college and get your job. You should be good. But, I'm like, man, whatever. Let me get these credit cards, get this food, get these shoes, get these clothes, whatever. Boom, I get out of college, I got a job, I'm good, I'm making some decent money, but at the same time, all these credit card interest, the interest just kind of just ballooned, and I was just like, what? But yet I didn't listen. My mom tried to tell me, she's like, son, there are going to be consequences. Like, by the time I finished paying for the credit card, I paid it off. Like, I paid so much interest. The interest payments I made at the end of it, I paid, the amount that I actually used 2 times over. All because I wasn't willing to listen to what my mom was trying to share and give me as wisdom. And so when you think about your life, think about this for a moment. God is trying to position you to do some amazing things in your life. But you got to be wise to know that you can be so much greater and so much better. We all have failed. We all have made mistakes. But the thing about it is about how can you come to a point and place and space of realization to know that you don't have to stay stuck where you are. God has put you in the position to do some amazing things, but it's all about, will you have a healthy perspective? And you will only have a healthy perspective if your heart is in the right place. And if your heart is in the right place, you won't get so caught up what the world has to offer. And King David, he got caught up. You don't have to be caught up. You don't have to get caught up. You don't have to stay there. You have an opportunity to do life so much differently and so much better because God has created you for this. It's all about what will you do. It says in Romans 3:23, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Think about that for a moment. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. But yet we have an opportunity to be restored. Think about that for a moment. We have an opportunity to be restored, but the thing about it is, if you stay in sin, you're not setting yourself up to succeed. It says in Romans 6:23, for the wages of sin is death, but the free gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus, our Lord. We're given the free gift. There's no cost. The price has already been paid, but the question is, what will you do today? The Bible says this in Romans 10:9-10. If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart one believes and is justified, and with the mouth one confesses and is saved. Hear what I'm saying? If you confess, if you believe in your heart, it starts with your heart. You only see 10% of the iceberg. But there's another 90% beneath that we don't see. People see your outward appearance, what you look like on Instagram, on TikTok. People see that, but at the end of the day, it's all about like what's in your heart. Is your heart right? Are you willing to take a step outside of what everybody say, think, and feel about you as a person to be all that God has called and created you to be based on your heart? If you're stuck in sin, you don't have to remain stuck. All you have to do is confess with your mouth and believe in your heart. You too, and you can, and you will be saved. Free will. The story of the boy who will become king is a story that we all can relate to. When you think about his life in regards to this shepherd boy that's preparing the sheep and just tending to the sheep and that's killing the lions and the bears. And he comes. It's like, no, he's not the one. Because why? Man looks at the outside, but God looks at the heart. He rises up. He defeats this giant, this juggernaut of a giant, Goliath. He becomes the leader, the king, defeat tens of thousands. People love him, but he makes a mistake. He falls in sin, but he doesn't stay there. He's restored. He changed his perspective. He changed his heart. He changed his way of thinking. He changed the people he was hanging around. He repositioned himself. So what about you? So you have an opportunity today to reposition yourself. But it starts with your heart. So today, if you're tuning in and you feel led to make a decision for Christ, this could be your day, this could be your moment, this could be your time to change the narrative, to change the story. And as I said, I thank God for free will. And free will is the ability to make our own choice and decisions as individuals. So today, if you feel led to make a decision for Christ, to give your life to Christ for the very first time, this could be your day to do so. Because maybe you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's about you right now. Or maybe you've made a decision for Christ. You know what it means to give life to Christ. You know what it means to make the ultimate decision. But you've been disconnected. You've been disengaged from the church. You've been disengaged from being all that God has called you to be. You know better, so you should do better. Why not do better? So if that's you, you have an opportunity to rededicate and recommit your life to Christ. So I challenge you. It's about you right now. You don't have to stay stuck where you are. You can be healthy. You can be whole. It's all about repositioning yourself. So if it's to give your life to Christ or rededicate or recommit your life to Christ, we're here for you. Or maybe you've been tuning in with us for the past 19 months or so, and it's like you've been a part of this church. It's like, man, I may as well just join. If you feel led to actually join the church, know that as a church, as a family, as a ministry, as a team, we are here for you. So today, if you feel like join the church, here at the Church Without Walls, we receive you, we thank you, we support you for the decision that you've actually made to join the church. So if you made a decision today to either give your life to Christ, rededicate or recommit your life to Christ, or join the church virtually, as a church, as a family, as a team, we're here for you. And what I want you to do, I want you to go to our website, tcww.org, right? Go to the guest tab, click accept Christ, or join the church, and somebody from our assimilation team will join and connect with you for you to be a part of this ministry. And if you made a decision, as a church, as a ministry, as a team, we give you a virtual hand clap, a virtual round of applause. We give you some major love for you making the decision to actually connect with us here at the Church Without Walls. This series is really being about, understanding and knowing that in life, you can be restored. In life, it's a journey. It's not so much about where you start, but it's all about where you finish. And when you think about like your life and your story, and you think about the illustration of the iceberg, it boils down to, what do you want your heart to look like? What do you want your life to look like beyond the surface, outside of what other people see? Man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart, and he's designed each and every one of us to be great. I just want to just thank you all for actually tuning in with us here today with Ignite Sunday Live. It's a lot that we're doing here in the life of the church. On behalf of our pastor, Dr. Ralph Douglas West, I thank you. I appreciate you all for serving and support this ministry. I thank our amazing team of media gurus who actually help us to project this message virtually throughout the entire world to be all who God has called us to be. So it's all about a collective work. And so if you support this ministry, we thank you as well from the bottom of our heart. So we're about to be ready to get out of here today. So go to our website to see everything that we have going on at tcww.org. But don't leave right now. We're about to receive the benediction from our pastor, the big Aristotle, the big Belichick, Dr. Ralph Douglas West.
Look this way. I want to bless you as we prepare to go into the world as salt and light. And didn't we have a marvelous worship experience today? We are so fortunate to live in an age where we have this kind of technology, where we can bring the gospel of Jesus Christ into your home. In fact, a theme we can use is bring God's house to your house. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face smile upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift the light of his countenance on you and grant you his peace. And may the Lord bless you when you go out and come in, when you rise up early and settle late, in your labor and in your leisure, in your laughter and in your tears, until that day when we shall stand at the feet of Jesus, where there's no sunrise or sunset. Be encouraged.